and welcome to Law Weekly on Channels Television. I am Shola Shoyeli. For a while now on this program, we've been looking at issues of discipline on the bench and the bar, especially against the background of the recent suspension of 2 judges and the stripping of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria awarded to a senior legal practitioner. To shed more light on this important issue, especially as it relates to the bar, I'll be hosting the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Okewale, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. But before we get to that interview, let's do a quick recap of the top stories in the news. We begin with the report that the Federal High Court in Lagos last week Wednesday upheld the constitutionality of Section 78 subsection 2 of the Electoral Act of 2010. The section empowers the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to deregister any political party which fails to win presidential or governorship election or a seat in the national or state houses of assembly. Justice Okonadbang had given the judgment in a suit filed by the National Conscience Party (NCP). However, 24 hours after that judgment was given, NCP approached the appeal court to challenge it. In a one-ground notice of appeal, the party submitted that the trial judge erred in law when he held that the provisions of Section 78 subsection 7(2) of the Electoral Act 2010 is consistent with the provisions of Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended and Article 10 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, Ratification and Enforcement Act. Staying with the Federal High Court, Lagos, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), for the 3rd time in 6 years, rearraigned the former governor of Enugu State, Chimaroke Nnamani, on charges of money laundering. The former governor was first arraigned before Justice Tijani Abubakar in 2007. Now he faces a 105-count charge before Justice Mohammed Yunusa. He is charged along with one of his aides, Sunday Anyanwu, and 6 firms linked to both of them. The EFCC alleges that they jointly laundered about 5 billion naira. They have, however, pleaded not guilty, and the court has fixed trial for the 28th of May. From Lagos, we move to the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja. The court last week Wednesday dismissed the suit filed by Mr. Austin Ogianwo challenging the election of Mr. Serake Dixon as the governor of Bayelsa State. In his judgment, Justice Adamu Bello held that the plaintiff lacked the local standard to challenge the outcome of the primary elections held on the 19th of November 2011, having failed to participate in the said election. The court also ruled that the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has the right to conduct primary elections and also field any candidate of his choice for the purpose of any general election. 24 hours after giving that judgment, Justice Adamu Bello heard the suit involving the former chairman of the disbanded Presidential Pension Reform Tax Team, Mr. Abdul Rashid Maina. Mr. Maina had dragged the Senate President, David Mark, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, and 7 others to court in a bid to stop his possible arrest. He asked the court to hold that the arrest warrant issued against him on the orders of the National Assembly and the subsequent declaration by the police that he was a wanted man grossly violated his fundamental human rights. He's seeking damages in the sum of 1.5 billion naira for the psychological trauma he claimed these actions cost him. The court has fixed the 21st of March for judgment in that suit. We round off at the Federal High Court in Yola, Adamawa State, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has charged the former governor Boni Haruna and 3 others over allegations of conspiracy, fraud and laundering of public funds to the tune of 200 million naira. Former Governor Boni Haruna was rearraigned alongside his former personal assistant, Mr. Mohammed Inuwa Bassi, his former Commissioner for Finance, Mr. John Elias, and Al Hakim Nigeria Limited, a firm allegedly owned by the former Finance Commissioner. The case was earlier before Justice Adamu Bello of the Federal High Court Abuja, but has now been transferred to Justice Bilikisu Aliyu of the Federal High Court Yola since the offences were allegedly committed in Yola. Trial in the matter is expected to commence this Thursday.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, Follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard. ChannelsTV.com. The news at your fingertips.
Welcome back. Last week, I sought out the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Okewale, to get his reactions, especially to comments that the bar is treating with kid gloves issues of indiscipline and professional misconduct among lawyers. We spoke about that and much more. You've been president for about 6 months now?
Yeah.
Let's start with how the office has been. Has it been warm, cold, hot? How would you describe the 6 months in office so far?
Exciting, very demanding, but exciting. Challenges. But I must confess that I've had enormous support and cooperation from my colleagues, and that has really helped in handling the situation.
What would you consider as the major challenges so far?
Major challenges so far, it's basically trying to settle down, because we're trying to put structures in place. You know, it's leadership style. These different strokes for different folks.
Yes.
So definitely what you met there, you would want to conform with your ideas of how you should run the MBA. So setting up the structures and all that have been quite challenging. Find out that even to set up committees to work, you have to take your time to make sure that you look at what's on ground, look at persons you're bringing on board, look at their capacities to do what they have to do within the short period of time. That was the major task we had to deal with coming into office, but gradually we're settling in.
Okay. A few issues have come up that has got some people saying that it appears that the NBA has lost its vibrancy. For some people in the past, the public knew the stand of the association on almost every issue, but it seems like it's not the case anymore.
I don't know what issues you're referring to.
The controversial swearing in of John Buofor. Did the NBA take a stand on that? We didn't seem to hear anything.
What happened during the era of John Buofor was that she had been cleared. The John Buofor problem was that she had been cleared by the NJC, and certain issues transpired. I probably won't want to go into the details now. And some people came out shooting from all cylinders. But the NBA we run today is what I would have always called the new Nigerian Bar Association. And what the new NBA does is that we act based on information. We're not going to jump into the fray and start making demands and issuing an ultimatum. All he needed to do was get across to the CJN to get at the facts of what had transpired that made her take the decision that she took. And in the end, it was resolved. But some people would just expect us to jump into the fray and start issuing statements. You don't issue statements that way. You must act from position of information for what had actually transpired. I remember when I went to the Senate had taken a position and they had said, oh, we're surprised that the NBA has not spoken. I said, no, this NBA does not speak like that. A lot of people
were surprised that the NBA didn't say anything.
This NBA doesn't speak like that. This NBA needs to have the facts of the matter. And I sought audience with His Lordship, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, to find, my Lord, what has transpired. This justice or judge had been cleared for elevation to the Court of Appeal. Why was she not sworn in? And we needed to have an audience with her, and somehow that didn't come up until very quickly she called for an emergency meeting of the National Judicial Council. I happen to be a member of the National Judicial Council, and there are other four members from the bar. The 5 of us represent the bar on the NJC. So at that level, we got the details of what had transpired, and we felt that the CJN had handled the matter properly, and that was it.
The recent disciplinary measures meted out by the NJC to 2 judges, suspending them before the subsequent confirmation from the executive. Did the NBA say anything about that?
Yes, we had repeatedly endorsed the actions of the NJC.
Okay.
and said that the NBA fully. Don't forget that one of them was actually born out of a petition written by the immediate past president of the Bar Association and some other colleagues who had some issues in courts and felt that the judge had not properly handled proceedings in courts and we had addressed them.
That's talking about Justice Charles
Yes, yes. So we were part of what happened. We had the good knowledge of what was going on.
Talking about issues of professional misconduct of judges that saw the recent action that we saw. There are those who say that it's difficult to find issues of corruption on the bench without the active connivance of lawyers, especially some senior members. Now, I don't know, there's open gossip, people mention names and all of that, but some people also feel that the bar is not doing enough in disciplining its own members. Now the NJC has moved against the 2 judges by suspending them, and then they've consequently been compulsorily retired. But the lawyers that were involved, especially talking about the case of Justice Thomas Narono, the lawyer that was involved in that case, so far, what is happening at the level of the NBA?
What has happened with the matter is that you couldn't have been doing trials at 2 different venues. This matter was going on, it was a matter of petition against judges. And the NJC is a body that entertains such petitions. Now, in course of the NJC investigation, it transpired that the report now indicted a lawyer. So this is when the NBA comes in. We probably won't be publishing every day what we're doing with discipline unless and until we're at the end of such trials. Currently, we have, at least before the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee of the Board of Benchers, 37 cases are going on. And one of the things I said to my colleagues seeking this office was, this impression of the bar was not good enough, and that I was going to work towards cleansing it by taking firm and definite actions against lawyers who were implicated in such actions. And that if that was all I achieved as president of the bar, I was going to walk away a satisfied man. And because of that commitment to my colleagues, when I got elected as president, I set up 9 disciplinary committees, 1 in each geopolitical zone, and then 2 in Lagos, and 1 in Abuja. That's why you have 9. Now, we added PEP to the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee of the NBA, of the Body of Benchers, sorry, by appointing a new leadership. The
Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee
of the Body of Benchers. That is the body that entertains issues of misconduct. Well, the way we do it is that the disciplinary committees get the petitions, deal with them. If they find a premier,
the 9 disciplinary committees get the
petitions all over the country.
Okay.
Now, when they entertain any petition and find that a premier facial case has been established against any legal practitioner, they now take the matter. The NBA now takes the matter to the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee of the Body of Benchers. That is where the trial is done. Currently, that body is headed by the past president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr.
Joseph Daudu.
So, let's say. And in addition to that, we have also injected more legal practitioners into the committee, because in the past we had issues where the committee wasn't sitting because of quorum or the prosecutors were not there. So we had 3 prosecutors before I became president. I have appointed 10 prosecutors because I do not want to hear of any situation where matters are not going because prosecutors are not there.
They're not available.
We have appointed 4 more members to join the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee of the Body of Benchers. We have set up a legal department at the National Secretariat to deal with all the petitions, because we found several petitions that were lying there and it was just one person battling with all the petitions. And so we set up a full legal department. Their work day in, day out is to receive petitions, deal with them, process them, write to whoever they needed to write to, because before, if you wrote a petition to the Secretariat, people will come and say, oh, I've not had any reaction. Now, these people working at the legal department now have the responsibility of writing to you, acknowledging your petition. They now, through the instrumentality of the General Secretary, they write to the lawyer that is complaint has come in against seek his a reaction or her reaction, then push it to the disciplinary committee for the zone where that petition has come from.
So much has been done to inject
that's what
life into those committees.
And I've also, when I inaugurated the committees, I let them understand in my charge that I would be demanding quarterly reports from every disciplinary committee.
Okay.
Same for the secretariat staff in the legal department, report weekly to me on what they have done with petitions that have come in. So
that way you're able to monitor progress.
We're able to monitor progress, monitor what is happening. No, there should be no missing in action. Nothing should be lost in transit. So we are right on top of it. And I'm sure that with time, like I said to you, currently there are about 37 petitions going on, 37 cases
against different lawyers in all parts of the country.
Yes. And I think it was last week, that panel, that committee sat for the whole week. They sat entertaining petitions and complaints against lawyers. So I ask for patience. In no time, you will see the product of what we are doing at the National Secretariat of the Nigerian Bar Association.
People specifically want to know what the case is, or where the case is at with the lawyer that was indicted in the case against Justice Thomas Naron.
That's what I've said to you. That, you see, the way this works is this. If you have a complaint against a lawyer, you write to the Nigerian Bar Association.
So are we saying people haven't written?
If you haven't written, we can't deal with it.
There's no petition?
There was no petition to the Nigerian Bar Association against that particular lawyer.
Okay.
What has happened is that there was a petition against the judges who sat on that tribunal.
Okay.
So in course of, and the complaint was that they were having undue relationship with some communication with some counsel.
So, yeah.
And in course of investigating the matter, the panel now indicts a lawyer.
Okay.
So now we have materials to look at, because we will still have to put the gentleman through our own system of disciplinary measures. We're not going to say, oh, NJC has indicted him, we hereby find you guilty.
That document of the NJC cannot speak for itself?
You will pass through our disciplinary machinery. He will be taken, his matter will go before the disciplinary committee from the zone where he comes from. It could, I don't know. I don't want to prejudice those investigations and
the outcome.
Yes, and the outcome. But what will happen for certain is that the NJC, yes, there are persons like me who are on the NJC from the bar, but that is different from the Bar Association and its disciplinary measures. For us, no matter what they have said, it forms a basis for taking the matter before our own disciplinary committee for the zone. Now, if the disciplinary committee for the Southwest finds a premier case based on what the NJC has said, they will push it to the legal practitioner disciplinary committee of the body of
There are
benches.
those who fault that procedure. They say that instead of waiting for petitions, where there are cases that are seemingly glaring, where it's obvious, like where the NJC has already indicted this person, and that document should speak for itself, that the bar perhaps needs to be more proactive in self-regulating, rather than saying you're waiting.
We're not waiting for the petition to be sent to us.
The petition has been sent.
Yes.
You're waiting for the process.
It has to go through our process. We're not the NJC. NJC is different from the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee of the Bar Association. And what that means, how it affects those who are going to hear, I do not know. But what I know is that it is not because he has been found guilty by the NJC, the bar must sanction him immediately. No, you'll pass through our processes of hearing you out before we make a decision on that.
There are cases where people allege that lawyers file frivolous cases in court, and that alone could be a ground for the NBA to deal with such lawyers and move against them. What is the NBA doing about that?
Well, you see, it's not that simple. Yeah, there are cases that are manifestly
glaring,
frivolous.
Yes.
But you see, that is why the courts are there. If you take a case to court, it's for the courts. In some jurisdictions, those things will require some legislation. It is not just for the bar association to sanction, because the bar association is not in a position to determine whether or not your case is frivolous. It is the judge that you appear before. I know that in some jurisdictions outside this country, the court can impose a fine on you. So that is squarely between the purview of what the judges should decide. They are the ones that can determine whether a case is frivolous or not. It's not me that will determine that.
Because those who make this kind of arguments, they take the case of maybe Justice Stanley Naji, a judge of the Enugu High Court, who went outside his jurisdiction and made an order removing the then former governor of Anambra State, Chief Chris Ngige, from office. That judge is no longer in the judiciary, but there was a lawyer who filed that petition, who filed that action. There was a lawyer who filed that suit. So you say that in the absence of maybe a petition or something, the NBA can't just do something about that, saying that this lawyer has filed a frivolous suit?
One resists the temptation to be heard or to sound as if you're being protective of the bar. In fact, it's the other way around. The rot in the society, unfortunately, has seeped into the legal profession. There's no doubting that fact. But what I've always said to their lordships is that take charge of your courts. If your lawyer comes with a frivolous application, you know what to do. If a lawyer comes before you in court and is trying to frustrate the hearing expeditious determination of the case before you, take charge of your court. You cannot, like we say in law, the court must be dominus litis. It must be in charge of the proceedings in your court. So there is no lawyer, no matter how highly rated or rank or whatever, that can go to a court and take over proceedings in a court. No matter how young the judge is, the judge with dominance litis should be in charge of his or her court and should be able to call everybody to order, no matter how highly placed.
So it's not for the bar to...
It's more for the... And again, on occasions where the judge has now found out that, look, this lawyer has been has outrightly tried to abuse the court processes, you can refer the person to the NBA for disciplinary action. That is done whenever we get reports from the judges, because I stay in the office in Abuja. The matter has gone on in Sokoto. How am I to tell how a lawyer has conducted himself in the courtroom? It is the judge that will report the misconduct to the Bar Association, and we act based on information. So
where there's been public outcry, or like the case of Justice Stanley Naji, where the judge is even no longer in the judiciary, the NBA can't just apply for a CTC of that proceedings and make an example of that lawyer who filed that suit?
I have said something to you very clearly, that I don't stand in a position to assess whether or not that matter was that was some years ago.
Yeah,
I wasn't president then. Yes, it was a long time ago. And I know that the judge got into trouble.
He was removed?
He was removed, and the lawyer moved on.
Because this is talking about how the NBA organizes its disciplinary actions now. Because there are those who say that instead of waiting for petitions, the NBA should start being self-regulatory and proactive.
We are self-regulatory and proactive. Yeah, but the point I'm making is this. If I don't get a report, how am I going to tell that something has gone wrong? Yes, you said something like Justice the Naji or so.
And that's just one example.
That was one example. But you see, I've also said to you that look at like the Justice Naron's case. That is the proper thing. At the point when the NJC concluded its action and this lawyer was indicted as it were, you now passed on to the Bar Association. So we take it up from there. We couldn't have jumped into the case when the investigations were going on at the NJC. No. But at the end of the investigation by the NJC, the report is out, the lawyer has been indicted, we'll take it from there.
I have been speaking with the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Okewale, senior advocate of Nigeria. Of course, there's so much more that we talked about, but which time would not permit us to accommodate today. But if you have questions and comments, please get them across via Facebook, email, or Twitter. I'm Shola Sheyeli. Thank you for watching.